All right. So the word on the street. Sarah informed me that I screwed up editing again, which isn't hard to do right now because the way I'm doing this was kind of sucks. I'm still learning this new editing program and it's kind of tough, and I don't have anywhere cool to take the camera to show people without there being too much noise in the background. Even I'm watching the tides, but the waves just don't go away and it's too loud. So this is all I got, and I keep screwing up trying to put something on top of it just for whatever the visual effect while you listen, if you need that. I'll try to be better. But anyway, so I guess the last email read yesterday was covered up by a mishap, so I'm going to read it again to start off with. And this is titled, Coming to Our Own Conclusions. Steve, I was just listening to your spiel about how we need to listen and make our own decisions or assumptions about what we hear. I believe this is what they meant when I was in university 8 years ago, and they called it critical thinking. And I kept wondering what they meant. I'm a First Nations woman, and I would say to myself, quote, well, yeah, of course, question and do your own research, end quote. I believe that as a FN person, we have been lied to by government and so many others, that this is something I've learned and do automatically because of our history. When I would question them on the source of the information, I've usually been questioned and led to believe that I'm the weird thinker or something to that effect. But I'm glad to hear you say what we've been thinking all along, because as a white alpha male from their own community, there is a better chance to help others to recognize and hopefully help change their understanding. I appreciate what you're doing here on your channel. Again, because as a First Nation, we've understood the Sasquatch community, not the name we call him, and learned to exist with them for hundreds of years and being called all kinds of names because of it. I've also had my own experiences with the Sasquatch, seen him, heard him. We can sense when he's around. He has appeared in dreams and given me messages. He is very real. Thank you, Vanessa. All right, there you go. And I believe what I said was, it's not just the First Nations of North America, but the First Nations of the planet, which includes all of us as a whole. We have all been coexisting with these beings and more for a long time, without a doubt. Coexisting? Is that the word? I don't know. I guess maybe we've all been sharing this globe, this ball, whatever we want to call it. I don't give a shit what the shape of it is. We've been sharing it all with each other for a long time and not necessarily getting along at all, right? For the most part. And I was thinking a little while ago, I've been thinking for a while, the quality of life. You know, we look, a lot of us, we're realizing that the skills these beings are in tune with outclass the shit out of us. But on the other side of the coin, is it a possibility that their quality of life sucks ass compared to us? Right? I mean, we don't go jumping tree to tree trying to stay in cover for the basically most of our lives, do we? Right? I mean, they're not jumping on a nice plane and flying somewhere nice and hanging out on the beach without getting pestered or shot or killed. Where do they go? Where do they spend most of their time? It doesn't seem to be the best existence out there, does it? That we're aware of, unless they've got something else going on that is far better than what we've been doing for ourselves. Who knows? I don't know, but I think I'm definitely confident we're going to find out fairly soon, fairly shortly. Anyway, that's just been a thought of mine, is the quality of life these forest people actually have compared to us. There's a lot of pluses and minuses, aren't there? Yeah, more voices. There's so many. Titled, My Theory on Sudden Terror. Well, there's a lot of people that want answers for the sudden terror, that's for sure. Hello, Steve. I've had a few experiences in my lifetime. A little background on myself. I'm a 68 years young woman and the youngest of 6 siblings. When I was 4 years old, we became orphans and were placed in foster homes. Oh, that's sad. My sister and I were placed together, but the trauma of it all made me into a person who was an introvert and distrusting of people. My sister and I were so close that it was normal to pick up the phone and she would be on the line to be calling me, all without even ringing. And now for the experiences. Number 1. In the summer of 1974, I was helping one of my brothers transport his Volkswagen Beetle from New York City to Tucson, Arizona. The plan was to share with the driving, but we got dangerously tired and decided to pull off the road in a very rural, mountainous area of West Virginia. If you can imagine, 2 tall people trying to get comfortable in a VW Bug. Oh, that would suck. Needless to say, our feet were on the dashboard. time was about 4-ish a.m. and I was suddenly awakened by my brother screaming and kicking at the windshield. I felt the VW rock sideways, but I did not see anything. My brother kept saying it was a huge face looking in through the windshield. He described the face as a very hairy man whose face filled the window. He never spoke of it again, and today claims not to remember the event. Typical. Number 2, I was working on the Vermont-US-Canadian border in 2003. I had the 2:10 shift plus 2 hours of overtime. The Vermont northern border was and still is very rural and dark. No street lights. I was driving my pickup out of the facility and was only a mile or two from the border when an intense blue-green light beamed downward right above my vehicle, filling my truck cab with light. I coasted to the side of the road and stuck my head out the window. At first I thought it could be a Border Patrol helicopter, but I didn't hear or see anything but the bright light. Then, just like that, the light switched off, and I just shrugged and turned my truck on and headed home. I only lived 6 miles from work, and when I got into the house, the clock on the wall stated it was 2 a.m. That's when I felt the fear, terror of the unknown. I was trying to rationalize where 2 hours of my life had gone. Number 3, I was driving down a road in Vermont alongside Lake Champlain. I was around it was around noontime with a cloudless sky, and the sun was so directly overhead. As I was driving, I noticed a dark shadow in or on the lake about a half a mile in diameter. I was looking due west, and this shadow was coming towards me due east. My brain was trying to figure out what it was. At first I thought it was a school of fish near the surface. As it came closer, I realized it was a shadow of something that was huge. I stopped the truck, got out, and the shadow passed overhead. It was darkness all around me. But as I looked up, all I could see was a blinding yellow light, as if the sun was still there. This was when my heart was beating out of my chest. I was shaking with fear. I just couldn't figure out what was happening. The darkness of the shadow passed, and the sunlight returned. Steve, I believe that all animals have that fight or flight instinct to go into shock when confronted with the unfamiliar or unknown. Thanks for what you do, Steve, and take care. A member of the club. And P.S. I do believe in telepathy and believe that the ability to communicate extends for all living creatures. Yeah, I think so too. It's funny, some people might not like it when I bring this up, but I can't help it sometimes. When the farther we go here, the more people that come here and share their honest experiences. It's just unfortunate that it shows, without even trying, just how dishonest and misleading a lot of people have been in the past when it comes to this topic and more, right? So let's just say, as an example, I don't need any names. You already know who the culprits were, but let's just say you were some kind of person who came upon the realization that there was some kind of tall, hairy, large, massive being running around the forest, and you were convinced it was true, and you started looking into it. Oh, and now you may even call yourself a researcher, whatever. But either way, let's just say you're one of the originals, right? Or one of the most prominent that came to light first. Just think how many people those individuals ignored or pretended to not listen to or hear when people shared with them that they heard in the English language, "Stop, turn around, and get out of here, I'm going to kill you." There's one point, right, that they absolutely would not acknowledge or speak about openly, or the fact that their eyes glowed red. Now that's not a shine, that's not a reflection. Those suckers are creating their own light in the color of red coming from their eyes. How many people have seen that? Seriously, think about it. I'm not making this shit up. You're not making it up. It's something that needs to be acknowledged. It's fact. How many thousands of people have seen red light coming out of the eye sockets of these frickin' beings? Including the Dogman thing, right? Now you got to think about it, you guys. How long have we been doing this? How many people have came here and spoke openly? How many in such a short time? Now you look at the history and the so-called careers, whatever you want to call it, of the past people that are investigating this topic. You think about it now. Now that we know what we know, think about how many people they denied sharing their truth. How many? Isn't that amazing? Isn't it? Now hopefully you share my frustration. You can understand why I get so frustrated to the point of actual anger when I speak of these guys, especially some of the ones who are absolutely abusive and went out of the way to annihilate people's careers and lives because they were coming forth with truth they didn't want exposed. Anyway, there's my little mini rant. When I think about it, you guys, think about how many of us have come forward here in this group of millions of people to share the truth, and now you know. I mean, I don't give a shit. Some of these pricks that go on these stages today, they are the guilty culprits, right? They're the guilty culprits. They're the first ones to start collecting testimonies and the first ones to start ignoring them. Anyway, I'll bite my lip there, but you understand, you see what I'm getting at, right? You see what I'm getting at. As the truth unfolds and comes to the open, it can't be stopped. The bad players get exposed so easily. Now, who's next? I appreciate you sending that email in too, by the way. Sorry for that little rantaroo, but I absolutely appreciate you sending that in. And you have anything else happen, any other knowledge come your way that you believe the people could benefit by hearing, please email us back again, all right? All right, here we go. Here's another one. This is titled, it's titled Red now. This is titled Thoughts and Observations. Good morning, Steve. Go ahead and use my name. It's Ed Steele. I'm sitting here watching a video you shared a week ago, and the person was talking about the hair on the sabe. Also, another story about a giant wolf. I can talk about the wolf. 3 members of our camp have had experiences with a wolf creature / dogman / Wendigo. First experience was my longtime buddy Keith. For over 20 years, he had hunted an island in the middle of the swamp. He had cleared a 3/4 mile path through a huge cedar / hemlock swamp to the island and harvested some of the largest bucks we've harvested there. One night, I shot a small 6-point and was back to camp early waiting for help. Keith also came back early, so I asked him what he shot. He said nothing. Let's go get yours. This is way out of character, and I could tell something was bothering him. That night, he told us that he's done hunting the island. Said he had a big black wolf stalking around the island, and it got real close to him more than once. About 5 years after he passed, I had my experience, and his son told me that his dad told him that it wasn't a wolf, but a giant, skewed-looking wolf creature that was bigger than any animal he's ever seen. That same week, my brother-in-law was heading back to camp and came across another hunter running down the 2-track. He stopped, and the guy just jumped in his truck and said, "Go, go, go!" The guy told him that he was lost, and he was being paralleled by a huge black wolf for a whole hour. He had shot an entire box 30-06 rounds at and into it, and it never fazed it. The following spring is when me and my wife were camping at deer camp and had our own experience. I already sent you this before, but here it is again. We were camping in a tent with our dog. The dog poked a hole in the air mattress, and I couldn't sleep any longer, so I got up, stoked up the fire, and put a coffee on at about 3:34 a.m. Here I sit, me, my dog, and my 22. I know, why, LOL. In front of the fire, and a wolf howls right in front of me, between me and the swamp that is 100 yards in front of me. My fearless dog tucked tail and ran into the tent. My wife woke from a dead sleep and exclaimed, quote, "What the F was that?" And there I sit in the dark with my coffee and a 22, LOL. I told her to get in the truck. We sat in the truck till first light, hastily tore down camp and left. Here are my thoughts on this and observations. One thing we all noticed the year prior to this was the lack of coyotes, both the year prior, the year after, and the year after that. And this is an area that had been teeming with coyotes for many years, then none for 4. Well, the same thing happened the year prior to my first experience and the year of my first experience. Sorry, let me read that again. Well, the same thing happened the year prior to my first experience and the year of my first experience, and again this year. No yotes and 3 negative experiences. I believe that there is an ongoing battle between the sabe and the wolf creatures in the woods I hunt. This leads up to the bad experiences, and my notice that something is coming is the lack of coyotes. Thank you for what you do, Steve. It is so needed for those of us who have been blessed/cursed with this knowledge that's been given to us. Ed Steele. Appreciate you, Ed. Appreciate you sending that in, man. And that's another thing too. I'm not like, if, just so you guys know, if I don't spend too much time looking for or listening to or watching any videos online when it comes to this topic, because I am 100% engulfed in listening to the people, which is all of you here. There's enough voices for me here to gain my knowledge. But what I'm wondering is, like I've said, I've admitted it. When the dog man thing, when I kept hearing about it, I was like, oh, come on, give me a break. I don't want to read this shit again. Right? Until I pulled my head out of my ass and realized I needed to listen to the people, no matter what. But I'm not certain. I wonder if any of the original so-called big names in the Bigfoot Sasquatch world, I wonder if they talked about the dogman thing at all. Because now that we've seen how common these sightings are, there's no effing way those dipshits didn't hear these stories too. Right? And I wonder if any of them actually ever gave in and spoke publicly about it. I mean, how do you listen to so many people, look you square in the eye, get goosebumps on their arms, break down crying at times, repeating what they saw, and then blow them off? How the fuck do you do that, right? Anyway, there you go. Appreciate you sending that in, man. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Now, what's this one? Who's next? Encounter with... Okay, what's this one? Holy crap. Well, is this long? No, it's not too bad. Okay, here we go. Sorry for that. Mark this as red. Encounter with a predator-type creature. Side glider. All right. There's a big thing down here. Hi, Steve. Really enjoying your stories from around the world. It's a relief to know no one is not alone with these encounters. Sorry, it's a relief to know one is not alone with these encounters. I can't imagine how many folks feel not knowing where to turn to. I previously sent an encounter story of a Sasquatch in the Comox Valley. So here I am again sending you a different encounter with a different predator-type creature, a side glider. This encounter happened in 2023, last spring, approximately 5 miles from the Sasquatch encounter. It was a mild day, and was walking my 3 dogs in the forest. The energy felt dank, and I somewhat felt on edge. We were nearly ending our walk to where our vehicle was parked. There was no sight of anyone walking the trails, only my dogs and I walking through these dank parts. As we neared the end of the trail, I could hear a clipping noise, only to see branches falling like someone was pruning a tree. The branches fell randomly, one by one. The tree looked like it was like in a blurry form. My dogs seemed not to notice anything indifferent about the experience, as they were tired out from the long walk. Clip, clip, clip was all I heard. And then there was no one to be seen up this tree as we advanced the area, and the falling branches abruptly stopped. I looked up, curious to witness this see-through clicking, ripply textured creature climbing down the tree, then melt into the canopy, all camouflaged. That's a little creepy. I was not fearful, but just amidst the encounter that only happened in a few minutes. I silently kept looking over my shoulder as we sped up our pace to move away from the encounter, and I was concerned for my dog's safety. The clipping noise was very unsettling. To this very day, I do not feel safe taking walks near a forested area or a swampy area. There definitely is a heavy energy in these areas, enough to stay away from. I'm still amiss. Well, Steve, I'm again thankful for your bravery standing up to this chaotic world. I have more stories of paranormal if that interests you. I've basically spent a lifetime with paranormal encounters, visionary encounters, glitch in the Matrix encounter. I was told I was tagged by other realms. However, I refuse to be labeled tagged, as it makes me feel vulnerable to the unknown, predictably to this encounter. Wow, that's a little alarming. And then I guess at the time I must have searched your name, because here's the next email sent by you next. And it's titled, Many True Encounters of the Comox Valley. Hi, Steve. I'm currently from the Comox Valley, and I present to you an enlightening story of Sasquatches in a forested park area where I live. You may call me Bronwyn, which I will keep my legal name confidential. I'm an active woman who walks with 3 dogs in nature daily, and have witnessed some otherworldly experiences in these parts. I'm aware and understanding that there are many other creatures breaking through the veil/portal. I will not mention where these creatures are ascending from, as it will most indefinitely add some negative attention to the area. Last summer, 2023, one of my encounters was a warm summer eve. My dogs and I hit the trails. It was approximately 7:30 p.m. We set forth into a forest. The intensity of this area was common. However, the dogs needed their daily exercise off leash. This area is approximately 2 miles of forested cedars, alders, and a swamp. It started with the sounds of children laughing in the distance, as I thought we were alone. The sound faded to a sound of something thrashing on the other side of the swamp. The thrashing abruptly stopped. I felt slightly uncomfortable but not fearful. Suddenly, a guttural cry came from the direction of the trees where the trees were thrashing a few seconds earlier. Hard to describe the cry, as it was otherworldly, beautifully executed, with a second cry that went right through my soul. My dogs looked at me with mere confusion. Something telepathically told me to leash up my dogs. As I did, I took that as a gentle reminder. Telepathically, I said, "We will leave you quietly." And so we did. Gently, I leashed up my perplexed dogs and walked gingerly in deep thought on our way out. On the pathway out, it felt like we were ushered out by a presence which made one of the dogs abruptly stop in his tracks. This presence was beside us and intense. I then spoke to whatever it was that we were leaving respectfully, with no intentions of coming back, and the intensity of the presence ceased. My feelings: this was a female Sasquatch encounter, as I now understand that they are only protecting their kind. We still have these beings tagging us on occasional outings, and I gently remind them that we are not a threat. Our encounter was intense, but ethereal on a spiritual level. I will never forget the cries of this creature, how beautifully it was composed and woke my being. Yes, that sounds hooky, but my exact feeling on that moment. Remain calm if you're experiencing an encounter. Mindfully change your thoughts with love while processing an encounter. With these beings, you will not impose as a threat to them. They are merely trying to save their kind, as we are destroying the world. Just like all wildlife upon the earth, we are the worst predators. As the realms unveil, there will be more creatures exposed. Some will not be this forgiving. Steve, I have a handful of other stories that would interest you. The Comox Valley is definitely a hotspot for supernatural creatures and portals. I know I'm not alone, and so thrilled that you're helping others as a messenger. Sincerely appreciated. Next encounter I'd love to share with you is my encounter with a side glider, predator type creature. I am still a miss at this one. All right, gotcha. And I agree, the Comox Valley, Courtney, that whole zone, all the way down to where I am, basically the whole, well, everywhere, right? The whole island is a very, very active area for shit that we have been raised to believe is impossible. And the Comox Valley directly links up with where I live, right? That the what do you call them? The Beaufort Range Mountains, the Stamp River, Strathcona Park. It's all right there. We're all in that triangle. That's where the late great Dr. John Bendernagel tramped around and heard these beings, saw their footprints, cast them. Now, what's this say? This is titled, "You're a man to be reckoned with, but please read this." Okie dokie. Please use my name freely as Dean Weiss, again from Eastern Pennsylvania. And as always, I pray that you, Sarah, Ruby, and all the children and critters are well. This time I'm writing to talk about you. I'm going to say that I'm a little concerned, not apprehensive and not necessarily fearful for you, but I want to say that I know you feel like you are at a critical breaking out point in this channel, and you have to go out there and look for them. Now, I'll be honest, that's what everybody wants you to do, but you don't have to do it. At the same time, I know that you have already decided to do it. And so I would also like to say that there has never ever been anyone more qualified to go out there and do it and speak of it truthfully than you are. Okay, so I said that. Now I'm going to say this. Listen to David Paulides. If you go out there and do what you're doing, what you're aiming to do, because I know what you're thinking, you better damn well have a satellite tracker. Satellite phone, you better have everything, and you better have it stapled to your hip. Maybe take 2 of them. I know from listening to your channel for 4 years that you are not a man who does anything half-assed, and so do not skimp on your safety devices, because I know you will not skimp on your recording devices. I've said what I had to say because I have had to say it, and everybody's thinking it, and everybody wants you to do it. But just remember, if it's not right for you, nobody will think any less of you for not doing it. What you're doing right now has surpassed anyone's expectations, and whether you realize it or not, you've already crossed that great divide between not knowing and knowing. And so, whatever you choose to do at this point will just be icing on the cake. Don't feel obligated to do it because anyone who thinks anything of your channel foremost thinks of your safety and your longevity in going and doing it. I love you, brother, and you brought truth into our lives. Thank you, Steve. Okay, man, I absolutely appreciate that email, right? Absolutely, and I love you back. It's my fellow human being and neighbor. Yeah, you know what? The truth of the matter is, you guys, if you guys only known what I've been doing, how long I've been doing in the woods before I started doing this. Now, I have been aware of what's been going on out there since I was, 17 years old? Right? It's a long time ago, unfortunately. But now think about this one. I previously would spend, let's just say we'll start in July, okay? I do the Alaska Highway, solo, with horses. Not all the time, but the last handful of years I did it, I would bring my horses up to. Do the Alaska Highway by myself, stop halfway, camp overnight at a lake, which turns out to be ground zero for a bunch of activity currently today, and probably back then. Then I would go farther north to the north end of the province, and I would go into the remote mountains where there's no human beings, and I would do around 120 days. Okay, you guys? Then I would drive home, and then I would dive into the coastal mountains of British Columbia by myself for another 60 days, 45 to 60 days, I think. 45 to 60 days additional on top of the 120. And then I would go straight into the winter chasing and trapping wolves in remote British Columbia all over the shop where these beings are. And especially in the coastal mountains where I do my deer hunting by myself, that's where I've had the majority of my experiences with these things, these people. And I still do it. And I was by myself the whole time. And we're talking years. So now when you think about it, and then we got summer and springtime going into trail cameras and doing my hikes. So I figured I was doing an average 250 days in remote British Columbia and other places a year for years. So, and I do appreciate the concern, you guys, but think about it. What I'm about to do when I get home, I've been doing it all for years anyway. The only thing different now is I'm going to go meet up with people who have basically convinced me they are communicating with these unknown, unacknowledged people. And I've been invited. And I'm going to go. Why should it be any different in a way? Why would it be any different than what I'm doing now? Right? I mean, I spend time where these people are. Daily. Right? By myself. Daily. For years. Yeah, sure. I'll admit I get stressed out quite often when I think about where I'm going to go and where I go, but while I'm doing it, I'm rocking right out. Like right now, I can't wait to go steelhead fishing when I get back. I can't wait, but I do know as well is there is a handful I don't know, these beings are where I steelhead fish. I don't know how many First Nations friends I spoke with who's seen them right where I'm fishing, and I still go there by myself. I hike in the dark, and I'll admit it right now. Yeah, I am. So I get stressed out right now thinking, well, I hope it'll go smooth this winter, because I don't really, I got to hike through the timber, down the bank. I got to go across the river. I got to wade through the river, downriver, and then get stuffed into those willows and fish. Think about getting escorted out of there. It's going to take a long, stressful hike through that water, upriver and across the river, through the forest to get back to the truck. I don't want it. I don't need it. I'm not looking for it. I'm not asking for it. and it does bug me a little bit right now when I'm looking forward to going steelhead fishing. And I think to myself, well, am I going to be left alone? I hope so. All right. And it's a shitty thing to have that in your brain all the time. Even when I'm steelhead fishing, and I've shared that one spot with you guys, I'm almost intentionally not looking up above the other bank across in front of me because I don't want to see something staring at me. I just don't. I want to steelhead fish and enjoy it. Right? Anyway. But I want answers. I want answers. I want the honest frickin' truth. I'm sick and tired of the bullshit. I am ashamed of the people who mislead us nonstop. I'm absolutely ashamed with them. I'm frustrated with them. I am angry with them. And I can't help it. If I could get even with them, I'd get even with them, but I can't. So I guess one way I can get even is to make sure the truth gets exposed. Right? That's what I'm going to do. And I want these answers. And I do not feel pressure from anyone here to get them at all. But it's time. We've all come together here. So it's time to go the full distance, and I'm ready to go. I'm going to do it. I'm all in. I've already said out loud I'm in, so I can't go back. I'm in. I'm going to do this. And I appreciate the concern. And but the number one voice I will be listening to dictate my decisions and movements is going to be my gut instinct. That's what I'm going on, 110%. It's going to be an interesting ride, and I hope by now that all of you who are listening know that whatever I see, hear, and learn, I will be repeating it to you word for word with no bullshit. I hope I have everybody's confidence in that. That is being fact. I mean, we need this. We need this done. We need it done, right? Kick the previous bullshit artists to the curb. Support the truthful, honest people who care, and get the truth shared. And then you can all do with it as you want or leave it. Anyway, appreciate that email, man. There's a lot of kind words in there. I absolutely appreciate those kind words and appreciate you and everybody here. But I'm going in. I'm going to do it. Now, who's next? All right. One more. It's like fishing. One more cast, right? All right, here we go. One more. Last one. It's kind of like fishing, right? One more cast. One more email. My Bigfoot experience is the title of this email. Hello, Steve. My name is Lisa. I now live in Maine. I had to get out of the city in MD. Have always had a connection with creatures of nature since I was a small girl, saving hurt birds, abandoned cats, etc. I also share your love for horses and had some wonderful times in my teens while working at a riding stable for wannabe cowboys, LOL, from the city. Now I'm 62. When I lived in MD, I would always escape to my uncle's 350-acre farm in West Virginia. I loved it there. He allowed no hunting on his property. I could stand on the back porch with an apple in my hand and shout out, "Apple!" And a herd of whitetails would come wander down from all the surrounding hills, right up to the fence, and sometimes up to the porch, and even the sliding door to look into the kitchen. And by the way, they also liked fresh peeled potato skins. While I was in my 20s, I was there for a break from the madness of the city. I was out on the side of the porch having a smoke, respecting the no smoking indoor policy. While out there, I clearly heard the sound of a tree on the hill to my left being hit with what I assumed was another piece of wood. I know this because my uncle allowed no wood to be cut or hunting on his property. It was not an axe I heard. It was dusk, and I honestly was too far away to see or smell anything. Somehow I knew what it was. I told my uncle, and he said it was probably nothing. I did not feel fear, but I did feel uneasy enough to go inside. I know this sounds weird, but I have never forgotten that experience and actually wish I could have another encounter. I deeply feel that I could be able to use my kindness and empathy to communicate with them in some way. I have had wild birds land on my shoulder, and am in wonder of all the creatures I have seen in my backyard in ME. I've even had some supernatural things occur also. I now live in my husband's family home, a 200-year-old Civil War home, and yes, we definitely have ghosts. I've seen and heard them on many occasions, but that's for another time. I truly feel I'm connected to these visitors, be it in spirit, form, or animal. Sorry for the long email, but I can't vent about these experiences to just anyone. Some folks are so close-minded. Feel free to share this if it's worthy, and yes, you can use my name. Good luck with your move. Macaroni will always be with you. All right. Just your name, Lisa, is on here. That's it. But anyways, appreciate that, Lisa. And be careful what you ask for, right? And if you, like you said, you have a funny feeling, you know what's up. And that funny feeling is usually right. Right? I don't know. I mean, some people, I don't know. Everybody's on their own ride. This may be completely out of line, but as soon as you said that, what you said about have a feeling you can connect to them with love and empathy, or whatever, however it was worded, my brain instantly went to those young ladies who decided they're going to go to the Middle East and trek through the Taliban's area and spread love and hug people, and they end up losing their heads. I don't know why I thought that or even shared that, but that's where my brain went. It's like, well, you know what? Just be careful. Just listen to the people. Go with your gut instincts and be careful. Anyway, that's a bit of a weird reply, wasn't it? But anyway, I'm going to get going. Stuff to do. I am really looking forward to getting home in a way. In a way I am, in a way I'm not. I don't really want to get home, but I kind of want to get home because I really want to get on with this. This is motivating me to want to get home. I have a lot of people, important people I really need to get in touch with and communicate with and get this ball rolling. This is going to be one crazy, insane year when it comes to this topic and more. This is going to be one hell of a year, I'll tell you what. Anyway, share my story at howtohunt.com. All right? That's where you get it heard. That's where you get it heard word for word.